Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday if you're a Southampton fan. 2-0 up at half-time against Man City in the semi-finals, eh? Anyway, I hope you're safe and well. If you're new around here, there's over 50% of you who are watching this are not subscribers. Oh my God. So if you press that little button down there, little subscribe button, and it changes to grey, you're helping out us. And I appreciate it. Thought I'd come on and do a live today, and I'll tell you for why. Obviously, today we had the sort of the, well, it's not like news, but obviously we had the sort of theories about the West Brom manager, Carlos Corberan, to we're keeping tabs on him, and obviously we know, Moyes is under a bit of pressure, and whether it's in a week's time, end of the season, a new contract, there will be a time where Moyes will not be the manager. So this is not a Moyes out brigade protest or anything like that. It's not at all. It's just looking at who's available. And because the whole thing around Carlos and people were sort of, oh no, some people think it's a good link, not a good link. And obviously there's been a number of different people who have been linked, so to speak, with the West Ham job in recent weeks, in recent months, whether that's by fans, whether it's by the news and the journalists, whether that's by apparent shortlists, all that type of thing. So what I've done is pulled all this together. It's about 14 names, and the idea being is we're going to go through them. We're going to go through them. We're going to look at it very objectively. We're going to get your thoughts, your opinions in this sort of new sort of show type thing where we sort of take one subject and really go into it. We're calling it hammering one out. Ooh, misses a little bit blue. Hammering one out. So we're going to hammer one out today, live on YouTube, and we're going to talk about his next manager. Let's just have a quick look in the chat. So we got Paul's gone with Potter. Yeah. That's he's on the list that we go through. Saints are currently 2 up half time. Indeed, love the Danny. Hope you well. Love the intro song. No idea. Evening, all usual suspect. Poch waiting in the wings for the Chelsea job. We'll talk about Poch. Obviously, Toby's in the chat. John's here. Adam's here. Anton's here. If Moyes goes before the end of the season, then we'll have a caretaker manager. Yeah, I mean this is more about. I'd say more about the permanent manager coming in. Because, there are talks of interim managers, short-term managers. I mean, this is not a Moyes is leaving next week type thing. This is a succession plan. And we've got a sporting director in now. So this is the sporting director's role, is to have a list of potentials coming in, whether it is because of, end of contracts. I mean, Moyes' contract runs out in the summer. Will he be offered a new one? Who knows? Will he still be here after the Wolves game? We don't know. Evening, beautiful people. Mandy's here. Toby's here. That's one person I haven't put in is Mancini, actually. Balls, because that's a good shout. But don't matter. We'll come back to that another day. Dean's live. Evening, Russ. Hope you're well, mate. Jeff's gone with Tom Tuchel. Yeah, okay. The list I had at the beginning of the week is a lot smaller than it was. It's smaller than it is now, because obviously we had the news that Scotty Parker, look at that handsome man, Scotty Parker, obviously now manager of Club Brugge, and then was it 2 days ago, Roberto Martinez, who was someone who was also a potential person on a list that people spoke about. He took the Portugal job. So at the moment, this is my list I'm going to go through today. So there's 14 names that have been drawn out. Kenneth's pulled one out already. Gary's talked about Vincent Kompany. I think Zinedine Zidane for me was maybe a step too far for me, so I didn't include him. Marcus, good evening to you. So that's the list we're going to go through today. And the idea is I've delved in it. I like my stats. I'm a man who likes his stats. So I've gone through, looked at and I'm taking every one of its merits. I've taken every one of those managers, gone through it, given you a fact file of who they are, who they play, what teams they've managed, how many games, what their win percentages, and we have a bit of a mass debate here. I think I've got going through that process was quite therapeutic. I think I've actually got my preferred person. or my sort of top 2, top 3. And again, this will change as well throughout the summer. If we're looking at this in the summer, for example, someone like Potter's availability may come, and I've done a little graph as well, and see if you agree with my thoughts. It's just my opinion, and if you don't agree with me, let me know. You probably don't because everything I say. Right, let's have a look. If Anton's there, Anton, put out a poll if you can, mate, on the YouTube. I do love a mass debate, too. That's why it's called hammering one out, Matt. That's why. Can't help but feel for a guy that people want to sack. It's like Kane asking for a player to be sent off. Well, unfortunately, that's part of the game, isn't it? Unfortunately, with football, it's always the players and not necessarily the actual. It's always the players, never the actual bloody. It's always the manager, not the bloody players. If that makes sense. Right, okie dokie. Let's crack on. So let's go with the first one. Let's go with. We're doing it alphabetical orders. Let's go with Benitez, shall we? Let's take out the logo quickly. So with Benitez, and again, this is alphabetical. This is the only way we're going through it. He's currently he's 62 years old. You can see some of his clubs. Everton, then he was in China, Newcastle, Real Madrid, Napoli. An impressive resume. Let's be honest. He's over 529 games, and in terms of honours, he's pretty much, apart from the Premier League, won pretty much everything domestically in those three countries. I'm not looking at his time in China, but so. You've got, La Liga twice. He's won the FA Cup, the Champions League, the Super Cup. He's won the UEFA Cup. He's won in Italy. He didn't win the Serie A, but he won the Coppa Italia, the Super Coppa. He's won the Europa League. He's won the he's won a lot. And in those 529 games, he's got a win ratio of 49%, which, ain't too shabby for somebody who's managed, over, a fair amount of games like that. When you look at his preferred formation, 4-2-3-1, same as what we've been playing recently. 4-2-3-1. So what do you think? I think we've got our own opinion. I think we pretty much all on the same page about that in the Benitez. Benitez, no, thank you. Only thing his company got Burnley. Would he want to leave? Well, we can talk about that, Gary. That's a plus and a minus point, surely. I mean, the pros for a if looking at it subjectively. Let's look at it subjectively, from a neutral perspective. If you're looking at someone like Benitez, I mean, he's got. We're taking it on face value. You can see he's won everything. He's won practically everything, hasn't he? He's done. He's available. And that was one of the things that he said he's going to be and the new manager's not going to have a club associated to them. He's available, he's experienced, he's won lots of trophies, he's got a good win percentage. We'll talk about like goal differences and stuff in terms of for and against goals. We'll do it at the end. But he's got a positive goal difference in his 10 years. He's a big name manager. But as people said, for me, it's a bit like a Pellegrini type appointment in terms of we went for someone who's a winner, but he's just come back from China, and he's towards the end of his career. I think it's fair enough. Wouldn't say he's the progressive manager that people want. A stopgap manager. I think on average across his 10 years, it's about a year and a half, a year and 3/4 that he's usually in charge. Because obviously he's had some small appointments as well as some long appointments. I think he's turned us down twice already. I think it was once to Real Madrid and once to go back to China, I believe. And the status said he struggled last time in the Premier League. Rather keep Moyes than Rafael. Sometimes it's better the devil you know, isn't it? But we're going through them all and we're going to just look at them. Because when you look at things sort of subjectively, then I think sometimes we go, actually, well, this might be better. And actually, although this one might sound better now, in 18 months' time, we're going to be in the same position. I think with someone like Benitez, the fan base may be in the same position that it is now with Moyes for some of the fan base. I mean, Newcastle fans still love him. Absolutely loved by the Newcastle fans, isn't he? Anyway, let's move on. The next one is Bielsa. Now, apparently, one of the three that I've heard that they've said, one of the three managers that are being earmarked, him, Pochettino, and Tuchel. Apparently, that's what we heard on the on the news stations and stuff like that. Now, with Bielsa, I think he's the oldest manager out of all 14, 67. So talking about age, this is very much the other end for me. Look at the clubs. Leeds, Lille for a short amount, Lazio for a very short amount of time, Marseille, Bilbao, the Chile National League, Argentina, Espanyol, and then several clubs in Argentina. 335 games managed. In terms of honours, the Premier Argentina 3 times, he won the Summer Olympics, and he won the championship. His formation is this is not the formation he has. It's a preferred formation where he's done it more times than others. Is a 4-1-4-1. So, a slightly different formation, but obviously having that holding midfielder in the midfield, obviously. We know how much people enjoyed his tenure at Leeds from a fan's perspective. I think it was fair to say everyone was a breath of fresh air in terms of his football. He's available. He's available, exciting style of football. Again, he has a positive goal difference. We'll come back to that in the tick. He's well respected in the game. Pep Guardiola rates him as as best manager in the. He's best manager ever. We know about the Bielsa ball ethos, and he does have experience across several leagues, albeit for Lazio for a small amount of time. He did have experience. He is 67, so again, it's not going to be a long-term appointment. Let's be honest. You maybe get a season or 2 out of him, to be honest. Look at the downturn of Leeds. Yes, they're exciting, but then it all went to shit, basically, didn't it? And then Jesse Marsh had to come in and sort of tighten all up a little bit. Doesn't speak English, which could be an issue. And I believe he's also turned us down before as well. What do you think about that as an option? Let's have a look. See what we've got here. Let's go through a few. Good evening, Gatesy. Hope you're on, friend. It's never going to work. The Blue Noses. He could have bought cups. It wouldn't have changed their views. If a manager came in, our main priority would be survival. Now, Mandy, this for me. This is not necessarily about the immediate thing. I mean, I'm not particularly worried about survival this year. I think we'll stay up. There's worse teams than us this year. It's almost looking forward to the next manager. So regardless of whether it's going to be in one game, end of the season, after another contract, and then at the end of that, there will be a new manager coming in. So who's it going to be? For me, Bielsa is, if it's not brought in the summer, then it's far too, I think he gives me Roy Hodgson vibes in terms of the age, I'll be honest. I think there's another option. To the Bielsa ball. Coming up in a bit anyway. Carrick for me says Barry, young and hungry. Pochettino or Tuchel for me. I don't think Moyes needs the team can. He just needs a good number 2. We all need a good number 2, particularly if we're feeling a bit bloated. Bielsa, if Moyes can't keep a clean sheet, then what chance has he got? Exactly. That's what I mean. That's the only thing is, it's exciting football, but at what cost? Bielsa, no thank you. Matty would love some Bielsa ball. Running and pressing stats would be near the highest in the league rather than second worst. Also, we clearly can't defend, so go all out under Bielsa. There we go. West Ham are too old for Bielsa ball. It would be fun to watch. It would be indeed. Mourinho from Roma. Bielsa's a manager, Russ, not a box-to-box midfielder. Good point. That's a good point. That is a good point. But you look at the managers around now, the likes of, looking at someone like Scotty Parker or Vincent Kompany or, Graham Potter, they're not old blokes now anymore. The likes of Roy Hodgson and Alex Ferguson, they've been taken over. Why do you look at other clubs' failures? Well, it's an indication, isn't it? If they haven't been successful elsewhere, then it's an indication. It's something to bear in mind, isn't it? Every manager has a pros and cons. Every manager. There's not one manager who's going to come and go, he is perfect. There's always going to be something. And if you don't come up with it, someone else will come up with it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have an objective look at these things. I thought we turned down Bielsa because he couldn't speak lingo and chose Bilic instead. I think Bielsa turned us down, I thought. I can't remember. Not for me. Tuchel won't come to us. Dyche and Bielsa would have probably got Burnley and Leeds relegated. Quite possibly. Yeah, quite possibly. I think it's quite interesting when you look at sort of the managers. I mean, it's always, anyone but him type thing. And I think for sometimes, is when you look at people like Benitez, I would rather not change, then have Benitez coming in my humble opinion. Would you take Lampard? No. Zidane, Moyes is unable to keep a clean sheet, aren't we all? Particularly after a horrible curry, my friend Vinay. Ultra defensive, doesn't attack. Law of averages means defenders will make a mistake. Tell you right. Evening of the list you put up first would be my first choice and Kompany second. We're going to go through it. You can cut. Afterwards, I want you to all give me the. I think it's going to be what's his face. I think Chelsea will be Simeone. He leaves in the summer, and they've just signed João Felix on a 6-month loan, haven't they? So could that be something in play? I don't know. I do not know. Let's move on. Donkey Kong would be a good shout, but at least 2 to form his team. I like it. Would be a huge gamble. There are some gambles in here. I'm pretty sure there'll be some gambles in here. Right, let's crack on like Donkey Kong. Next one. We've got a lot to get through. Let's talk about Carrick. People have spoken about Michael Carrick. 41, young manager, inexperienced manager, currently at Middlesbrough. I spelled Middlesbrough wrong. There should be an S in there, but I do apologise. Currently 14 games he's managed. Obviously no honours, and 64% win rate. He likes the 4-2-3-1 as well. So, the old 4-3-2-1 is very popular amongst managers. I mean, obviously, you're looking at pros and cons. Someone mentioned he's young, he's hungry. He's a former West Ham player as well, well respected in the game from his time at West Ham, at Man United, for England, for Spurs. He's a well respected player, and obviously breaking into management. You've seen the likes of Frank. You've seen what's his face. Steven Gerrard, Wayne Rooney, all that sort of generation are now breaking in. Scott Parker, they're all breaking into management. He started very well at Middlesbrough. He's playing. He took a job in the Championship side rather than necessarily staying at, which he probably may have done at Man United possibly, and learnt from Ten Hag. He's young, he's hungry. It's not the only. There's several cons. He's only managed 14 games. It's a big risk. And he's currently in employment, so you'd have to buy him out of his contract. So again, there's pros and cons for everything at the moment. What we got here, Fran, I hope you're well. Nice to see you. I can't find any reason to be positive about Moyes. Sorry, but I can't. Can't remember last time felt so apathetic. We'll end up with Steve Booth and Big Sam B's number 2. Simeone leaves after this season. He does. He leaves in the summer, doesn't he? So he'll be at Chelsea next year, I reckon. Carrick's always seemed to have a good football brain, but too experienced. You're totally right, Dean. He's often credited with having a very good football brain. Can that translate into being a good manager? Sometimes good players aren't necessarily good managers. Sometimes good managers weren't very good players. Probably too young, very inexperienced. Give him a few years in the Championship, and maybe the manager after whoever is next. Fair play. Not experienced enough. Carrick with Nolan might work, and of course we haven't discussed Kevin Nolan or Mark Warburton. These guys are, there already. We talk about Noble a bit as well because there's people been calling for that, but again, I don't think that's going to be a. Don't get this. Be positive about Moyes lobby. Relegation form for a year. Rude about Benny. Deranged about Areola. He gets to Europa League semi-final. That's the best we've done for the last 40 odd years, mate. So look. You can say Vinay, you can say whatever you want. I mean, it's end of the day, as I said, whoever is in the dugout, whoever's on the pitch, gets my full support. If it's someone else afterwards, someone else afterwards. What we got? At least we can praise Steve Bruce has retired, or has he? People come back for a bit of money. The young experience are a risk. Just look what happened with Zola. That's the thing. I was thinking about it, Budgie. Good, great shout. Obviously, we're looking at all the talk today about Carlos from West Brom. People say he's inexperienced. The last time I think we got an inexperienced manager, a young inexperienced manager, would have been Zola, wouldn't it? Really, because you go from then onwards, you've got the likes of Grant, you've got Big Fat Sam, you've got you've got Big Fat Sam, you've got Bilic, not necessarily inexperienced. He was already experienced at international level. Pellegrini, Moyes, and even if you go back a little bit further, you've got the likes of Kirbishley, you've got Roda, God rest his soul, you've got, Pardew. These aren't necessarily I mean, Pardew, no, he wasn't experienced, but Zola was really inexperienced as a manager, wasn't he? Really, enjoying the sunshine over another few defeats, and I wonder how many positive will stick to the line. Well, we'll see what it is. We'll go. Vinite is every game as it comes, in it at the moment. Carrick needs to prove himself a bit more. We're doomed, the man. The lifeboats tapped in. Will Moyes last the season or just another 3 games? This is who's going to be the next manager, not when it's going to come in. I think he's got 2 games, Matt. He was in charge for a couple of games for United. He was indeed, and that includes as counted was his 14 games in charge. Lose those 2 next 13 defeats, and hard for him to keep them up. Moyes has told us the plot must go. Would be a great choice, but I think it's doubtful he'll come to us. Well, we'll talk about Vincent Kompany in a minute. Let's move on. As I said, like Donkey Kong, let's talk about the one that's been brought up today, Carlos Corberan. From currently at West Brom, 39, young manager. He's not got the best win ratio in his tenures, in all honesty. He, in terms of clubs, a couple of clubs in Greece, I believe, then Huddersfield, then back to Olympiacos for a very, very, very short amount of time. As you know, the Olympiacos owner is the same guy who owns Nottingham Forest, and a little bit of a hothead. And so after a string of about 3 or 4 poor games, I think they were 5th in the league, gets rid of them. And then currently he's at West Brom. He's managed he got 146 games under his belt. He hasn't had any real honours as a manager. But what is a interesting thing about him is he trained under Marcelo Bielsa. Now, obviously, one of the people we were looking at, one of the people on the list was Bielsa. Arguably, he's 67. Arguably, he wouldn't necessarily be a long-term appointment. But then again, long-term appointments are very, very rare now. I think if you get 3 years out of a manager, you've done very well. Where this guy, he trained under Bielsa. Under 21's an assistant manager for Bielsa at Leeds. So there is a similar understanding there. Looking back at his preferred formations, again a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1. The man loves a 4-3-2-1. Let's have a quick look at what we've got here. So far, the only manager I think would take the job that you've mentioned is Bielsa. I think you're probably right. Out of the others at the moment, definitely keep hearing his name but never heard of him. Well, this is who Carlos is. So he's not an up-and-coming manager. He's established himself. He's been in charge of Huddersfield for a long time. They've been tasked in terms of their football. It's been very, very good. And then West Brom took him out, bought him out. I honestly don't know enough about him, but he's massively turned this season, gone from relegation to pushing for players in about 11 games. He's very good at bringing teams together. He's very good at his style of football is very good. I mean, obviously, the cons are there's no Premier League experience as such, but he has been under Bielsa, so to speak. I mean, he's a progressive manager. He is young. He is currently in employment, relatively unknown amongst the fan base, hence what we've been saying at the moment. When we look at his goal difference, he has conceded a lot of goals, and he's scored a lot. He has conceded and scored very similar amounts of goals. He's actually got a negative goal difference across his tenures at various clubs. And again, he had a very, very, very short spell at Olympiacos. Irish Tommy, hope you're on, my friend. Great show on Friday. Check out Irish Tommy, honestly. Every Friday, mate. Check it out. Absolutely brilliant shows. Sometimes I have a guest. Sometimes it's just Tommy on his own. And Tommy on his own for an hour and a half is brilliant. On a Friday night, it's just what you want to watch. Particularly when you come back from the pub. Brilliant. Can't understand why he would be on the radar. Young, progressive, and people keep an eye out on what, in the same way a Nathan Jones at Southampton. No, although how was Southampton doing? They still 2-0 up. I was about to say he hasn't done very well at Southampton, but they're currently beating Man City in the Carabao Cup with half an hour left. But with Nathan Jones, he's like from Luton, and again, sort of people keep an eye out on that. Is Grady doing? I have no idea. We're going to talk about We'll talk about Angie later on. Please tell me that link is. But we'll talk about Mourinho as well. We'll talk about him. The Moyes phenomena has only one tactic which worked for a while. He gets favourites, ignores the team, and that his tactics has been found out. The more he loses, the more stubborn he gets. And I think actually, Mice, that's the same with a lot of experienced managers. So although people have been saying, someone like Carrick, he's quite an unexperienced manager. The likes of Mourinho, the likes of Bielsa, Bielsa never changed his style when Leeds were going crap. The likes of Benitez, they're very unlikely to change and be adaptive, whereas a younger manager with less games may be more progressive and have different and try different things and be more open to change. I don't know. Why are you telling you to have the stats? Well, anyone could do better than Steve Bruce. What about the RG manager, the fullback? We're not going to talk about Scaloni. Still don't talk about Scaloni because he should have just kicked that ball up rather than do that. I thought so. He come to us honestly at this point, an empty can of special brew. Right, let's have a look. Nathan Jones has been gone too long. Has been gone too long. A random person on the tube wearing West Ham paraphernalia could do better than you know who. All right, let's go through there. That's the guy. Yes, Lionel Scaloni. There we go. Maybe all stubborn, but they are not getting relegated. Well, Benitez didn't do very well in Everton, did he? Really? So again, not one brush goes out. One brush will go over everyone. H is on next. Oh, and she's brilliant as well. I want her on the channel more as well, Irish as well. We're going to get her on the channel more as well. Check out on Friday, H on there. She's great. She's really, really good. That's human H. The older we get, the more stuck in our ways. Problem is that he was fossilised in the Jurassic era. Oh, come on, we're all friends here. Right, let's move on. Who's next? Who's next on my list, Russie B? It's the main man, Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche. Right, 51. 2 clubs. Burnley and Watford. He's managed a lot of games, both times for Burnley and Watford. He was there for a long time, to be fair. So for almost 500 games. He's won the championship. That's his only major honour in terms of as a manager. In terms of his preferred formation, he plays what's called a 4-4-2-6-6, which is a double pivot. Middle 2. Okay? Simples. So basically, he plays with 2 defensive midfielders. Yeah, so that's why it's called a 4-4-2-6-6, because there's two midfield, there's 2 sort of, CDMs. So quite a defensive setup, but there's a lot more up there. From the cut to more field, with a younger manager, tired of the same old managers, and Frats being linked. Yeah. Oh my God, no! From boys, look, he's available. Is available. What was the party line? They're only going to go for available managers. Sean Dyche is available. I'm just saying. Not for me. Watch Dyche's draw ratio. Oh, let's have a look. Where shall I go? Let's have a look. Give me 2 secs. I'll find out for you. Sean Dyche. There he is. I've got my stats. I'm just like Stato. So his draw ratio is 28%. So basically it's third. Not that exciting, really, in all honesty. The ex-Mill centre-half, yeah, exactly. You could just imagine, couldn't you? You could just imagine it. I'm going to get pelters, but wow, Matty will 100% take Sean Dyche. Wow. He plays based on club style and players he's got at his disposal. He's a very intelligent manager. Look at his interviews. Well, that was one of my pros, Matty. One of my pros was he's a character in the game, and that's something I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But in a world where everything's getting a bit boring, he is a character. And actually, sometimes having a manager as a character does help out. It does help because you can take that pressure off the players if you're the character. And obviously, Dyche he's a very very he's a character. His teams are very difficult to break down because he plays with a 6-6 pivots. Thank you very much. I've learned that today. His teams have always got very good team spirit. I mean, he worked wonders with a Burnley side, didn't he? Didn't he get Burnley up to like? Didn't they get up to like top 10 or something? They did like, if I think they did one season, they did quite well. He does get team spirit. You know, he's got team spirit. I wouldn't consider him a next level manager or a progressive manager. He has a negative goal difference in his tenures. And would he attract, big players to our side? Probably not, I'd suggest. I remember when he refused to buy, he bottled it. Can't be run. You only get one chance. Don't forget that reason. But that was it. He got into, that's right. That was right. I wouldn't hate Stato, but only because I am so anti-Moyes. He loves a draw. Yep. I tell you what, he's gonna go. He's gonna go to Mike Bassett 4-4 with a double pivot. He can stay available. Should manage Crawley Town. Well, Matt Everton didn't he? It didn't last long. What do you honestly think of Sean Dyche? He never had money, but did well. Look, end of the day, as I've always said, whoever's in the dugout gets my support. So if it was Sean Dyche, it's Sean Dyche, and he's probably not the most. What's the word? I can't think of the word. Not the most inspirational appointment, but he'd get the team hard working, he'd get the pressing, he'd get the fitness up, he'd make them work. Probably ruffle a few feathers. It probably would be a little bit not as exciting. But I'd give Dyche a move. Bonsoir, mon ami. We're going to talk about Ralph as well. Spending 180 and then getting relegated. There we go. He can stay available. Live a 6-6 pivot. That's exactly what it is, Mandy. The two central midfielders basically are CDMs. It's a 6-6 pivot. That's his preferred style. Burnley got into Europe, was renowned for 4-4-2 and got us to the FA Cup. Certainly did. 7th, thank you. We're going to have a Hasselhoff. Dave Hasselhoff. I'll take Dyche. I'm a bit disappointed with West Ham. Okay. I played temping ball with Moyes once. He refused to throw the ball and then claimed he hadn't lost. You know what? What we said about draws, but if we draw half the losses, indeed. Might as well have you, Russ. You're a caricature. Unbelievable. That's a stat savage, base savagery I'm accustomed to with Stato. Would turn our defence into a bus company. Is a good man manager something Moyes isn't? I think he has been a very good man manager, but maybe just at the moment, just not so. Right. Let's talk about. I think this. Yeah. Let's talk about Luis Enrique. This is someone that has been spoken about. 52, almost a 60% win ratio. His clubs, Barcelona B, Roma, Celta Vigo, Barcelona, and the current Spanish... Well, he's not. He left after the World Cup, the Spanish national side. 334 games in charge. He's won the La Liga twice, the Copa del Rey 3 times, the Supercopa. He's won the Champions League, Super Cup, and the Club World Cup. Fantastic pedigree. He's experienced, available. He's won lots of trophies. He has, I think, out of everyone, out of all the 15 or 14 or so we've got, he's got the highest positive goal difference of his tenures. He's a big name manager. Has a very attractive style of football. In terms of his preferred formation, it tends to be a 4-3-3. Sometimes it goes to a 3-4-3 when he wants to be. And he is probably more suited to one of the bigger jobs, I'll be honest. Whether it's a Chelsea job, Barcelona now have got Xavi in he wouldn't go to, I don't think he'd go to anyone else in La Liga. He may go back to Italy. The Premier League is somewhere he hasn't played in, he hasn't managed in, hasn't coached in. So it may be a destination for him, if not the Bundesliga. He hasn't got any Premier League experience. English isn't his first language. And he is available, but there's no way he'd come to us, surely. What we said here. Yes, please, Enrique. What we got here. Do you have the running stats of the year compared to the last 2 years? I don't know, but I can find them for you, and I'll report them back later this week. Dyche just said he wouldn't play the same way with better players to work with. Yeah, but some people it's in it. People talk about it's like being in a job interview. In it, it's a job interview, and so that's what he's saying in the press because he wants our job or the Everton job. In it, basically, the ball needs to splash the cash and get the decent manager, someone who's won decent honours. Yes, please, Enrique did marvellous on a small budget. First time in ages, yeah, because I don't even realise it, but yeah. Great pedigree, untried in the Premier League, yes for me. That's what I mean, Dean, innit? There's always a plus and minus with all these. It's never going to be a definitive yes, and some people will say, oh, this one yeah, and this one no. There's never going to be a definite 100% ticks all the boxes. This guy, I mean, the laxatives are working. Sorry, Russ, character, not caricature. Thank you. I was about to say, I'm like one of those pictures that my face. Would bring something new to our game for sure. He'd bring something new to the Premier League, I think, for sure. Would blood any youngsters that had the ability and gave them, and we would play football again. Does Enrique like pie and mash? Maybe the patatas bravas. If we win Europa League, I'll be happy for 13th. He's definitely a good shout. Big manager, more likely to get the Chelsea job. I think there's going to be a few people up for the Chelsea job. I think you're looking at the likes of Zinedine Zidane. I think the fact with Simeone leaving, announcing he's leaving Atletico in the summer, and the fact that they've just signed João Felix from Atletico on a 6-month loan. Don't think our budget availability will suit him, but who knows? We spent £180 million, didn't we? Would be good, but I can't see it. Would attract better players. What about Tite? No, we looked about Tim today. He's not on the list. Full running stats, no, but combined pressing, we are second worst in the league. There we go. Toby, for you, bad season is a coach of players. Think about Toby, for you, the reason of bad season is coach or players. What are you thinking about? There we go. I mean, he's ticks a lot of boxes, but is it one step too high? But in the same way, if people are talking about Pochettino and Tuchel, he's got to be in the same conversation, surely. I really think he should be. Anyway, and he's available because obviously he's no longer the Spanish national coach. Now, people have spoken about Ralph. Let's talk about Ralph Hasenhüttl. 55. You can see his clubs. A lot of obviously German clubs, I believe, and then RB Leipzig, most notably, and then Southampton recently. A lot of games in charge. He's managed 532 games. He's got 2 honours. He's won promotion from Liga 3. And the Bundesliga 2, he won as well. So he's won some trophies. In terms of his preferred style, now he's more of a 4-4-2 man. I mean, he has dipped his toe in others' formations, but it tends to be 4-4-2, which he goes with. So it's again a slightly different formation. 2 up front as well. Howard doesn't like it. No to the Huts. I mean, some people say that he was hard done by at Southampton. I think you're looking at. I mean, Nathan Jones has just come in. Obviously, he's doing well tonight, but he hasn't done well with them. So, is it a factor of? Was it a factor of Ralph, or was it just a fact? Was he hard done by? In terms of the board, I don't know. No to Ralph, not for me. Felt like we could have taken 3. Never felt like we couldn't take 3 points. Great shout. Definitely no to Hasenhüttl. Impressive at Leipzig, but seriously poor at Southampton. Got to say no. Teams with the most pressing highest stats will be no coincidence top of the league, and the teams with the lowest. But if you don't run, you don't play. Ralph says no to Ralph. We move on then. We move on from Hasenhüttl. I can see Dyche going to Everton. The rest staying until the end of the season. I think there's going to be at least one more sacking. I think it will be, Frank. I'll be honest. Let's talk about Vincent Kompany. This is one that this is like my outside choice, I think, for me. 36, young, very young. 50% win ratio. He's currently manager at Burnley. Previously, he was manager at Anderlecht. 122 games in charge. Honours. That's not the that's the wrong championship. No, he hasn't won that. Ignore that. That was something else. In terms of his preferred, he's a 4-4-2 man, really. Although he does adapt it a little bit, but for the majority, particularly in Anderlecht, it was 4-4-2. He to me is a very obviously comes with a lot of respect for his time as a player. Although he was injured a lot, wasn't he? He's a young manager, progressive manager. Burnley are playing great at the moment. He has a record of developing players. Look at Josh Cullen, and so hopefully he'll be a Premier League player finally. And go back and watch our interview we did with Steve Potts, with the clip we did with Steve Potts and Kenny Brown and all the guys from the academy. They talk about Josh Cullen being the one that not got away, but the one that had to go away to develop. And obviously a big West Ham fan, so it's always good to see West Ham fans. Obviously, he's currently at Burnley. If Burnley go up and say we scrape through this season, are we as an attractive proposition to him at the moment as Burnley? Bet the devil you know, the devil you don't. Obviously, no Premier League management experience, but he's young. Is he? Is he holding? Is he treading water until Guardiola leaves Man City? Just throwing it out there. Kompany has that kick-ass passion. Yes, from me. You've seen. You might have seen on Twitter. He's. When they do that camera thing in the changing rooms. He's I think sometimes with a younger manager, you're easier to identify with the players you're playing with, particularly if they've seen you play as a player. So the likes of Declan Rice, the likes of Bowen, these guys would have seen Kompany play for many years when he wasn't injured and respect him in the same way that whereas. If you're an older manager, the players may have seen you manage a different club, but not necessarily play. So, sort of subconscious thing possibly. Won't leave there now. Stato, hope so. I'd give him a try. We have 3 points off Everton. Fat Frank gets a sack. Yeah, I think you're right. No chance. I'd actually take him. His transformation in Burnley has been amazing. Less than a season. They've become a ball playing out from the back team, but I think he's invested at the moment. He is, and obviously Burnley do have relatively new owners. The year they went down, wasn't it? They took over. So whether there's investment there. Anderlecht, he didn't spend a lot of money, but he brought in a lot of players on loan, and they brought in. I think he was the one who brought in Fabio Silva from Wolves. Obviously, Josh Cullen made him captain. He's working with a relatively small squad at Burnley. A lot of teams. He's hasn't spent a lot of money, so he's done a lot of scouting. Someone like Kompany, you've got that sort of. It's almost like he wants to bring up the youth and develop players. It's just a feeling I get from him. But he's a different beast. Look at Lampard. Totally agree. Would greatly improve our defence. Yep, good shout. Would stay if he brings them up. No, he's still there. This is who's going to be after Moyes, whenever that is. Kompany and Noble, quite like that. 2 up. They still 2 up. Is it 84 minutes gone? 2-0 up. Jeez. Knocking out Man City. Unbelievable, Jeff. Must have experience. He saw Guardiola every day. And when's the cut-off, Pete? People say, oh, he hasn't had experience. There's got to be a period of time where a club has to go for him and has to, take the plunge. How many games? He's got almost 150 games under his belt managed. Yeah, he's played. He's played for in 2 different leagues. He knows the Premier League. Yeah. I don't think West Ham will put him into West Ham's been sold. Penalties at Forest apparently. We should push the boat out and get a younger manager. Commands respect from fresh ideas. That's what I mean. That logic about seeing Kompany play could be said. No, you're totally right. Gerrard was hard done by, really, at Villa. Lampard, not so much. Carrick, I think, is going to be a good manager. And Parker, will see how. He did okay at Fulham and at Bournemouth, and see how he does at Club Brugge. If Moyes goes, we'll end up with an old manager coming to the end as no forward-thinking ideas, says Victor. Right, let's move on. Who's next? Who's next on my list? Let's have a look. Who we got next? Why is my thing? That's it. Who's next? Yes, talking about young progressive managers. Hey, here he is. Here's the boy. Here's the boy. Jose bloody Mourinho. 59. Still in his prime, guys. Still in his prime. You want a winner? This is your man. 63% win ratio. Look at the clubs. Benfica, Unai, Porto, Chelsea twice, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Man United, Roma, currently at Roma. Over 1,073 games he's managed. Look at the honours. The Premier Liga twice. The Taco, the Super Taca, the Champions League twice, UEFA Cup, Premier League 3 times, the FA Cup, the League Cup 4 times, the Community Shield twice, Serie A twice, Coppa Italia, the Super Coppa, the Europa League, and the Conference League. What more do you want? Aren't you entertained? And he plays a 4-2-3-1, the same as Moyes used to play. What's wrong? Why does no one want him? Mr. Part of the Bus could be worth a shout. Look, at the end of the day, he's been linked to us. It's one of the it's someone, you know. It's been a rumour, so we bring it to you. Arrogant git. Mourinho would bankrupt us. He's an awesome guy. He's a good player. City wanted him, West Ham definitely. No way, Jose. It's not going to happen. I'll take him if it could, because we definitely win a cup or something. But the only place he didn't win a cup, Tottenham Hotspur. He's won a cup at every one of his clubs, apart from Spurs. Deserves to be in front against pressing the nuclear option. Look, at the end of the day, he won't be available. I mean, that's a con. He's currently in a job, so that's a good one. I'd rather have Big Sam. It's got to the point where I'd have him. No Mourinho for me, please. Mourinho likes a huge transfer kitty. Not for us, I think. No, I don't think so. But, you know, if people come in, they're talking about experience, Premier League manager, born winner. He's won everything. Won everything. Respected, big name manager. One of those managers, I think, which you hate when he's not your manager. Do you know what I mean? A wind-up merchant. And I love a wind-up merchant. But no, I can't see the Mourinho one rumour happening at all. We'll go 3 up and then lose in the dying seconds. I'd rather put Kevin Keane in charge. Doing a great job on 18s. He's doing a great job. 11 wins in a row. Absolutely brilliant. Right, let's move on. Let's rattle through these ones because there's some interesting ones. We'll talk about Nobes quickly. I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to just do it like this. We'll talk about Nobes quickly. People have mentioned they want Mark Nobes to come in as a manager. It's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. He's 35. Obviously, he hasn't done any management at all. We're talking about an experience. This would be a complete punt. Him with an experienced manager over top of him, yeah. But I honestly don't know that Mark's ambitions would be management. I think I think the sporting director role is perfect for him. Yeah. Wouldn't mind Mourinho. He would drop Souček one day, but not yet. Should he wait for Pep? Well, after being knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Southampton, quite possibly. But maybe as a caretaker for a season and emerging. Do you know what? Yeah, I think you're right, Tobes. I think it gives me Trevor Brooking vibes. For those of us at a certain vintage. Remember Trevor came in for that last bit and almost kept us up. And in the first bit of this, well, it's kind of sort of the second. He came back in the next season after the first game or so, wasn't it? And as Kevin Keane, he was caretaker for a couple of times for us. He's got that vibes. Not yet. Let him get some experience. I don't think Nobes would be because I think he's seen the likes of Carrick. He's seen Gerrard, Lampard. I don't think manager is. I don't think he wants to be a manager. What about Nuno? We're not talking about Nuno today. Fought all them relegation battles and he retires. And we ask him to fight relegation battles as an adult, as a manager. Well, you've done it. You might as well carry on. Would be good in a partnership. I could see, but then it will be in sort of a partnership being the sporting director. Won't he, really? And that's a new role for West Ham. As I said, if you're not too sure what a sporting director does, go back and watch All or Nothing, the Arsenal edition, and watch Edu in that, because he's the sporting director, and he's in literally every shot. He's talking to the manager. He's negotiating contracts. He's trying to sell players. He's talking to the youth team. He's talking to the staff. He's sorting out the Aubameyang situation, contract situation. He's in all these fingers and all these pies. I think Nobes has said he wouldn't manage. He cares too much. You're right. I totally agree with what you said there, Stato. What's Paolo doing? No. I bet he'll go after Dyche. Well, who knows? Who's next? We're rattling through these. Let's talk about Pochettino. One of the three, if you're led to believe that article. He's 50. He's got 49% win ratio. He's managed Espanyol's, Southampton, Tottenham, and Paris Saint-Germain. He's got almost 600 games under his belt. He's won Ligue 1. He's won the Coupe de France. He's won the Trophée des Champions. And probably going to be the Chelsea manager. In all honesty, probably going to be the Chelsea manager. He prefers to play a 4-3-3, kind of, for most of the time. And he's someone that a lot of people have a lot of time for. Just when he thought he could relax, he's like, in a heartbeat, says Dean. In a heartbeat. We know, for me, I'm not his biggest fan. For me, he bought it with Spurs. I think he went to PSG, didn't win the league with like Neymar and Mbappe and people like that. With arguably the best players in the world in the first year. Lille won the league that year. I think he won the cup. He won the league the year after. Hasn't done anything apart from PSG in terms of winning anything. And to me, I think he's probably, he wants to go to a Champions League. I mean, there's little chance of him coming to us, I think, in all honesty. And then when he says, I wouldn't go to, obviously because of my Tottenham connections, I went to, I don't know, West Ham. If he goes to Chelsea even more than us and Tottenham, innit? I'll take Poch, but would he take us? I don't think so. And I don't want to be where you feel like you're doing him a favour. He's doing you a favour. Do you know what I mean? Poch will be good at youth development. I'm trying to think some of the players he brought through. I wouldn't say that many. I'll have to talk to my Tottenham friends about that. He wouldn't go full start, splash the cash, and he'll come. Feels too much like a spud. We can dream, but Poch wouldn't come. I love Palo so much, but I can't remember what he did wrong. Mind you, I am smoking. Fair enough. Ken, how you doing, buddy boy? Mancini discipline and make people work arse off. We've had too many passions this season and beyond. Mancini's a great shout, and I haven't included him, and I'm gutted because actually I think that's probably number one. Bugger. And I'd asked 3 or 4 people, my group chat was like, have I missed anyone? No, definitely not. Imagine the Terry Nobles new one after he lost 3 games. Doesn't deserve that. Well, I mean, look at someone like Billy Bonds. Kenny Dalglish, at Liverpool, okay. Kevin Keegan was a fantastic player and never was a fantastic coach. Look at Lampard's, maybe, it's almost like the management can tarnish your playing career. Stevie G. Look at Wayne Rooney. Don't forget because of the Spurs. I think that's bollocks. I think Keith. I think if Chelsea come asking, he'd go to Chelsea. No chance on your bike. I have a solution for West Ham on top 5 Middle Eastern investor. There we go. I think Poch will be back at Spurs. Imagine Poch coming to us and winning a cup. The Spurs will be beside themselves. Indeed, Messi's wife loves Ronaldo's girlfriend. I have no preference. I'll be honest. Saints win. Jesus, Saints are beating Man United, Man City. That is mental. Would you be gutted if he was like Leicester fan? Because obviously, it's Newcastle, Man United, Forest, and Southampton. God, and if and what will happen is Newcastle and Man United will play each other in the cup. And it'll be Southampton versus Forest. You see, I'd love Mancini, who will become an absolute legend managing us. I think that's a great show, Mancini. There's only a couple more left, I think. Let's talk about Angelos Postecoglou. So, current Celtic manager. This is another one which people have been talking about quite a lot. So I thought I'd put Ange in, put his stats up. Yeah, people like Kent love a stat and all that. 53% win ratio, 57 years old. He's managed a lot of Australian sides, South Melbourne, some great names. The Whittlesea Zebras, Brisbane Roar, Melbourne Fire, Australia national side. That's where the under 21s, under 20s, rather. Yokohama, and currently manager of Celtic. 658 games currently he's managed. Honours, a lot of honours in Australia, the NS Premium, the NS Championship twice, the Club Championship. He won the A-League Premiership, the A-League Championship, the OFC Under-21s, the AFF Under-19s, the Asian Cup, the J1 League, with Yokohama, the SPL he's won, and the Scottish League Cup. So he's won a few trophies, albeit a lot of them are were from Australia. Likes a 4-3-3. What do we think about Ange? Again, it's a name that crops up quite a lot in the discussion. And let's get Pep in. Yeah, Pep out. Get sacked from from Man City. Done a great job. Willworth, but to be honest, most people would have done a good job. For Celtic, it's like Celtic and Rangers, really. If we beat Blackburn, imagine the route, Russ. In it, blood. In it, Kim. Insignificant win against Blackburn. Could have got ourselves to the semi-finals, in all honesty. Mancini would at least know how to play Skamaka. Yes, but the board wouldn't pay the compensations costs. That's obviously a con, is the fact of he's currently in a job. He hasn't got any Premier League experience. A relatively, I'd say, unknown in England name. I think he's one of those appointments where people would say, oh, he's a great appointment, but unless they watch Celtic play, they wouldn't know much about him. But in terms of sort of his basic, in terms of football, I think he'd be an interesting one. He's a great shout, loves the club and has superb. But I think Kevin's great as a coach. I think his role at the moment is perfect, and he loves it. He loves the under-18 role. We go back and ask him about it, and he loves it because the pressure's not there, and he's bringing these lads through, and he can just coach and develop, and that's what he wants to do. Love his mentality. Narky, no, not proven, and Celtic is hardly a yardstick. That's what I mean, Kent. Moffey scored for Lorente. Moffey's the man. Moffey's who I want. He's my number one target this summer. Or this winter, rather. He's the one I want, man. Bert and Ernie both approve of Ange. Good. Mancini for John. You follow the French league? Maybe he does. Have we got two more? Is it one more? Two more. Right, we're going to talk about Graham Potter. Another name that's been mentioned. 47 currently, 44% win ratio. Clubs, Osland, and then he came to the UK. Obviously British, and then he went back to the UK. Swansea City for a long time. Brighton, Chelsea. He's 453 games currently. He's been in charge of a club. All his honours are of his time in Norway. Or no, Sweden. Is it Sweden? I think. Yeah, it's Sweden. Svenska Cupen, the Division 1 Norra and Division 2 Norrland. In terms of his style, in terms of preferred formation, probably the most diverse formation. Most of the others are 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 4-4-2 double pivot, 4-3-3, etc. It tends to play a 3-4-2-1. Obviously, Chelsea have gone out and spent quite big in this transfer window already. They got Badashili in, who I think we've been linked to. I'm gutted. I thought he was a great player. Obviously, they got João Felix today on loan for £9 million for a 6-month loan. Absolutely ridiculous. He's young. He's seemingly progressive. I think cons, obviously, he's currently at Chelsea, but that may change when we are looking around for a manager, maybe. He left Brighton, and Brighton have got better. I think he's a good manager when he's playing. For me, Potter seems to be a good team manager, so he plays well when he's got a team around him. With Chelsea, he's not big time enough to look after the likes of Thiago Silva and Koulibaly, and do you know what I mean? Sort of big names. I think it's quite. I think actually stock's gone down quite a lot from going to Chelsea. It was respect to Chelsea because they got someone like Graham Potter and but actually he hasn't done it really, has he? I think it's a shame because I think he's a good player, a good manager, and I think he could do well at us. I think it was almost like that Chelsea job was 2 steps ahead of where he should have been. It would have been from Brighton to a West Ham or a Newcastle or someone like that, and then the next step would have been, if he was successful, to then Chelsea or maybe even the England job. You know what I mean? Staying with Chelsea, I don't think he'll be staying Chelsea after the summer. There's too many good managers coming up in the summer. Simeone, you've got Zidane. You've got potentially Luis Enrique could come in. There's lots of managers, I think, which Todd may favour. Ange always plays attacking game, won't take shit and stand up to the board. Harry Potter would like Thomas Frank from Brentford. I know he's doing a great job. And they're brothers, but maybe he feels he could take West Ham further. Maybe. But the thing is it's almost like they've got a matrix, and then every manager they bring in or every signing at Brentford is such a well-run club that they're sort of plugged into the matrix. He's sort of plugged in, and it's all set up for him, and he just comes in and does his job. I don't know. On Brighton form, yes, but on Chelsea job, no. And that's what I mean. Please, anyone, says Antheos. Hope you're well, my friend. I'd take Potter all day and twice on a Sunday, but the club will need to be revolutionised and would have to be given time to implement his philosophy of bringing young players, molding them into diamonds. That's the trouble, Ken. It's not necessarily the board, it's the fans as well, giving him time to do that. Because, the Chelsea lot, my friend's Chelsea fan, they're not so hot on Potter. He doesn't seem so hot on Potter. It's they expect success and they're not getting it. And so it's something which, I think, again, some of these things, it's brilliant bringing a younger manager in, but that younger manager has to learn, has to adapt. Someone like Mourinho would come in and just know what he's doing. Day one, and has been given time yet, but I just think I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone in the summer, in all honesty. But you look at the American sides, for example. You look at the American sport. Obviously, with Toddy is an American owner. They change their managers, their coaches, their head coaches and stuff, defensive coaches, all in sport every couple of months. Anyway, let's talk about Domenico Tedesco, another name that's been bandied around, a relatively unknown person. For anyone who doesn't really follow the Russian league or the German league or the German league, 47. He has a 48% win ratio. He is managed a number of clubs, most famously Schalke, Spartak Moscow he managed, and most recently RB Leipzig. He's managed 178 games, and in terms of his only success, it was the DFB Pokal with Schalke, a Schalke side which included Thilo Kehrer, where he played him in terms of the formation, he played him in the right side of a back three, a 3-4-1-2. So whereas Potter was a 3-4-2-1, his is a 3-4-1-2. So again, very different formation. Again, he is a relative unknown, particularly amongst West Ham people. This is the next. That's what I'm saying. This is don't do about more when he's. There'll be a point in time he will not be the manager. Whether it's a week, whether it's 6 weeks, whether it's a month, whether it's the end of the season, whether it's after another contract. So we're just going through who's some of the names that are being linked, and it just puts things into context. So Tedesco, I think, is quite an interesting manager. He is young. He is progressive. He is sort of sold on the Red Bull model, having been manager of RB Leipzig. So again, it's that sort of bringing in youth players, building them up, that ethos. Wouldn't necessarily, I'd say, be the big name manager that will bring in big players, but maybe that's not where we need to be. For me, it's more about getting the right manager who will improve us on the pitch, because with that will come with increased league position. With that will come increased exposure in Europe, and therefore that's your advertising. That's your calling card for going in and getting more interesting players, more exciting players. He's my dark horse. He's my dark horse to be the next manager. It may be a step too far. It may be a step too far for him. Maybe more in the fan base rather than anyone else. But keep an eye on old Tedesco. He's going to get a job somewhere. And lastly, let's talk about Thomas Tuchel, the last man on our list. 49, the last of the three, the big three. Poch, him, Bielsa, apparently. Manager Augsburg, Mans, Borussia Dortmund, PSG, Chelsea, big clubs, 57% win ratio, 552 games he's managed. He's won the DFB Pokal, he won his league the times, the Coupe de France, the Coupe de la Ligue, the Trophy des Champions, the Champions League, the Super Cup, and the Club World Cup. And in terms of his preferred formation, it's another three at the back. 3-4-2-1, the same as Potter. You can see why maybe they brought Potter in. He has a similar formation setup. Now, obviously, experienced manager. Obviously, brings with it pedigree. He's won trophies. Probably stays, for me, is maybe a step too far. Tuchel is your first choice, says Michael. Bielsa would be a contender for me. Attack. Would love to see him. I'll show you in a second. Black Beauty is my dark horse. If Moyes stays, his default formation always meant to be 3 or 5 at the back with Nathan and Kurt in the back 3 this season. If we get proper right back, I can see it working. Isaiah Jones, the guy I've been championing as well. Ken, I think he's a great option. The left out on the right wing back. For sure, I think he's a great. I think the left wing back were okay as well. I think Emerson can play left wing back. He's been brought in to play left wing back, but I think you're totally right. Isaiah Jones, Middlesbrough, but he's going to leave Carrick. They seem to be doing quite well. Miserable get, but a proven winner, a definite yes. By all accounts, when I've been speaking to my Chelsea friends, it's like a Champions League version of Moyes in terms of the football. So, and that's one of the main criticisms of Moyes is by many of the fan base is his football. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm not totally won over with Tuchel. Sometimes the name makes the person, and I think the fact is, that's what surprised me with Poch. Poch went to PSG, and it's almost the same thing as Celtic, or Rangers. They walk away with the league. Didn't win the league that year. There we go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And there's over half of you who aren't subscribers. So if you aren't a subscriber, please become one and help me out. All you got to do is click a button. That's it. Cheers. Thanks. And it means the channel can get bigger. We can get better guests in. We can, better production, all that type of stuff, just by clicking the button. Cheers. Thanks. So, yeah, Thomas Tuchel has not managed the Premier League before he came to West. You're totally right, Paul. You're totally right. But that was 17 years ago. It was 17 years. Wasn't it? Yeah, 2005, yeah. 17 years ago. Not wanting to feel old or anything, but that was 17. The game has changed a long way. But the trouble is the Premier League managers do come with a price tag, He would be expensive. Same as Poch, And yeah, there wouldn't have been any compensation being needed to pay to a club, but you'd have to pay it in the sign-on fee and the wages. And also in terms of the budget that's available. Which is why there's the weird, people that are weird links about Carlos from West Brom. I don't think it's that weird. I don't think it's that weird because, as I've said when we covered Carlos, he was tutored under Bielsa. We know Bielsa is someone that a lot of fans have wanted, but I think it's too old. So it could be I I'll say it may be a cheap alternative. It may be, but it may be a more of a progressive alternative. Maybe I don't know. Right, I've got a few more slides which I thought you might find interesting. Kent will definitely this other slide. He loves a slide. He loves a stat. Does old Kent? Look at this. Look at this. So all of them people. So all of the people we spoke about today. All their games, their win percentages, goals for. So in terms of all the goals they've scored, that their teams have scored, divided by a number of games, so they've evened it out, and goals against. And actually, you can see that would be absolute carnage, Howard. Absolute carnage. You'd get two buckets. You get Bielsa on his bucket, and you'd get Paolo in the bucket, wouldn't you? So if you look at the last column, so yeah, win percentage is important, but how teams win, for me, it's Luis Enrique. I know the chance of us getting him is going to be hard. But you look at that, 59% win ratio, 1.15 average goal difference. His team scored the most goals in all of those 15, and concede one of the least. I think it's third least. Albeit he was playing for some fantastic managing the likes of Barcelona and stuff, but still. But let me know. Obviously, if you're watching it live, I know people have been commenting really nicely in there. But if you watch this in the comments afterwards, or you're re-watching afterwards, because Kent might look at the stats again because he likes a stat, then let me know who you would have. And again, it's no slight on Moyes at the moment because he's still our manager. So, but it's who's going to be next. There will be a time where we have a new manager. I've created this chart. This helped me it's helped explain it to me, I thought, looking at the charts. It was, so we've got likelihood across the bottom, so it might be likelihood in terms of, are they available, or have they already come out and said we're not going to join? So someone like Tuchel and Poch clearly want a Champions League side. Rather than West Ham, and then fan appeal, because I think that's an important thing as well. So, for me, the likes of Benitez, Mourinho, Dyche, and actually based on the chat here as well, it looks like we're about right. Yes, Benitez and Dyche would be available, but the fan appeal would be less. And this is just verbatimly listening to what people have been saying. Bielsa, people are very excited about Bielsa, and so he could. If you look at the quadrants, he's in the top quadrant. Hasenhüttl has been the likes. I mean, I know likes of Nick has always backed Hasenhüttl, but not so much. There was a lot of love on Twitter for Domenico. Luis Enrique, Noble, yeah, likelihood and fan appeal, but likely to happen. The people like Kompany, Ange, Carrick, these have got existing clubs, same as Carlos, same as Potter. I mean, Potter's likelihood could change. He could be more around where Bielsa is in 6 months' time, for example. But that's when I'm thinking about things, I always try and put them into a chart. So I work in market research. I try and put things into a chart, and they help visualize things. I actually did. This is a really sad thing. I actually did a bubble chart of this as well, where I then put in the games experienced. So someone like Benitez will have a massive big bubble, but he'll be stuck in there. Whereas someone like, I don't know, Enrique's got a medium-sized bubble, but it's quite high. It's quite interesting. Mrs. Budden was very excited with me today when I came in and started playing with my bubble charts. Anyway, what we got here? Let's get a few more comments, then we'll go. Mancini experience or Potter don't want Poch proven, but I can see Tuchel coming to us is vastly overrated. I agree with your assessment of Pochettino. I totally agree. Mancini's a great shout. I think Mancini would be. Is he available? Is he still the Italian manager at the moment? I think, is he still there, Roberto Mancini? Let's have a look at his stats quickly while we're here. Let's just do it. He's currently the Italian manager. He has where's his stats? 55% win ratio. He's managed 787 games. Fiorentina, Lazio, Inter Milan, Manchester City, Galatasaray, Inter Milan, Zenit St. Petersburg, and obviously the Italian national side. He has a 54% goal ratio. He has a goal scoring record of about 2 in 1, isn't it? 1, 3, 3, 5 divided by 787. 1.43, which would be best, which would be better than Luis Enrique's. And right, Mancini's my number one. See, I can flip. Listen to Ken. Mancini for me, 55% win ratio, not as slightly lower than Luis Enrique, but the goals. But it's the goals. He's scored over his size of score on average 2 goals a game, concede less than 1 goal a game. That would do me. And we need a top manager to go forwards. In Moyes, we trust Russ. Indeed, Russ, I don't care what it says in the slide. Just for winning football on the pitch. I wanted Eddie Howe after Pellegrini. And I was castrated for it. But then Eddie Howe didn't put up any trees when he was at Bournemouth. He did well at Bournemouth and at Newcastle. He didn't do well at the beginning, but he's got better. Mate, it's autism. Can we do some homework? Haven't done a themed for ages yet. We'll do one of them soon. It'll be a wild ride for about 6 weeks. Skamaka would like to work with Mancini. What is Moyes' win ratio? Does it show up in the calculator? It's not gonna be good for 2022, is it? We know it's not gonna be good for 2022. And in fact, if you broke those down, those win ratios for the individual clubs, you'll get a different story as well. But yeah. He has a 42% win ratio in his West Ham career, in his football career. 45% in his current tenure at West Ham. His first stint was 29%, and at Man United, he had a 52% win rate. At Man United, you've been gone too far. It's Bananarama. Then we would end up playing in Conference South. If had another 18 months of success, I would be seriously looking at him. I really like expensive, quick shot, incisive on the floor. Totally agree. Yes, Russ. Yes, Paul. I had Russ with it earlier. You did. 40. Yeah. So he's 42% in his managerial career. And as I said, his second stint at West Ham, it's 45%. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a bit different. As I said, we're trying to do this every so often. When there's a really hot topic, we try and do it. Pull the stats together, have a little chat, see what you think. We're calling this series "Hammering One Out." So hopefully we've hammered one out. We've had a mass debate and hammered one out for everyone. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow with the daily shows, Hammers headlines, and then we're starting to get ready for the Wolves game. Anyway, if you're part of the West Ham Network, if you're part of the community already, if you're subscribing, check out our community posts. You can pick your 11. All that's going back in now because I'm back from my holiday. I don't know if I mentioned, but I've been away for 3 weeks on holiday. But you can pick it using. We've already asked about formations. I think the majority went with a 3 at the back. So we've gone, okay, well, who's your back 3? Who's your goalkeeper? Who's your wing backs? That type of thing. And we put that together, a little show, which hopefully you will enjoy. Probably goes out probably Friday, if not Saturday morning. That type of thing. And so if you're new around here, over 50% of you aren't subscribers. If you could subscribe, it would help us out so much, and I really appreciate it. And if you don't want to miss anything, any content, got a couple of X-Hammers coming up soon. A couple of live Q&As. So there'll be one next week. Next Tuesday, I want to say. Let me check. Bear with. Next Tuesday. Tuesday, 9 o'clock, live Q&A. Should be quite an interesting one because his English isn't that good, but keep an eye out for that. But the only way you can make sure you don't miss anything is by hitting that subscribe button and hitting the notification. If you really want to support the channel, obviously subscribing is free and we appreciate it. We're knocking on the door of 14,000 subscribers. We want to hit 20,000 by the end of the year. And then if you want to become a channel member, it's lovely. Paul Reamer's just become a channel member. Lovely Paul from the old Facebook group. So thank you very much. So if you want to join that, and you automatically get into our prize draws. We do memorabilia draws like the likes of, I don't know what we've got here. This is a notebook signed by Matty Jarvis. We do loads of stuff like that. We've got, so, and we'll be doing one on Friday for the January one. So if you want to get involved, if you subscribe, if you become a channel member, you automatically enter into those draws. But anyway, ding, 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 hit that bell indeed. Why is football so removed from reality? If I'd be as crap as having spunked 180 million, well, because it's football. Thank you very much. Enjoy it. Thank you. I'm sure, Budgie, you'll mention to the WhatsApp group what a great show it was. I'm joking. Have I won anything late? Howard, you haven't. You haven't, but I'll do another draw tomorrow on Friday, and so you maybe will win because you remember. Budgie won last week. Budgie won one, didn't you? You won not last week, last month. You won the Mark Ward signed thing. Is that Mark Ward signed notebook? There we go. You see, I've got a cracking one somewhere. Bear with. This is a great one. This is a good one. Now this one hasn't been claimed. So what I do is I wait a month and a bit, and if it hasn't been claimed, I'll put it into the next draw. This was a great one. You like this one? So this one, for anyone of a certain vintage, is the West Ham 92-93 design shirt. I designed this, and it's signed by the likes of Potsy, because I've got them all to sign it. Kenny Brown, I think Morley, Bish, Ludo, Mark Robson, Matty Holmes, Tim Breaker. I'd keep it myself. But no. And that was, I got that all signed at an event went to about a month ago. But yeah, nice. So they've done the draw. Newcastle play Forest. Oh, nice. So Newcastle play Forest. So Southampton play Man United. Oh, fucking hell. Alan Shearer derby. Yeah. How many members do you have? I don't know, about 50 or so, something like that. I'd love to have that. It's all done on the spin of a wheel, my friend. I had the shirt. No, you can't, Matt. That's one draw Matt can't enter him. Anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay lucky. Stay humble. Keep the faith, my friends. As always, I'd like to thank all of our lovely channel members, but also we'd like to thank all of our lovely channel partners and sponsors as well. So we'll end with that. And as I said, I'll see you tomorrow, 12:30. Make sure you keep an eye on it. If I can do the live, I don't know what meetings I've got, but there will be 2 shows out as always tomorrow. So check it out. See you later. Bye.
Good night.